Hello everyone, I hope you all are doing well. This side Priya Bhatia. And in this specific video, we will be continuing our discussion with respect to the gradient boosting regression part, right? If you remember in our last discussion, I have already shared with you the mathematical intuition behind this algorithm and how basically in this specific algorithm, we are combining the weak learners to get the final desired result, right? That is the strong learner altogether. And what we have observed is that whereas in ADA boost, we have seen that we are tweaking the weights part. In the gradient boosting, if you will have observed, we are trying to curate new decision trees in a way that the target will be the residual of the previous predictor. That is the main point which we have seen, and then we have seen also that how the final prediction is usually made by combining all the model M1, M2, M3 and so on, where model M1 is just the average of all the target values that we have. So I hope that till so far, whatever things I have covered up with respect to the mathematical intuition is pretty much clear to everyone. If you still have any confusion, please make sure that you will refer the standard book. You will again try to rewatch the video part. Then only you will be able to understand the today's step-by-step implementation for the same. So please don't skip the previous part of the video, before coming to this part of the video part, okay? So now here you can see on my screen that I'm doing the implementation work step by step in the collab file. If you want, you can refer the Jupyter notebook also, but here I'm just picking up random data and just try to showcase you the complete working with the implementation also, just like the way we have done in the previous session, logically, mathematically, okay? So first of all, definitely we have to import all the required frameworks. Now, in the second block, you can see that what we are doing is just to make sure that, the data points will not change in your case and in my case. So we have just put a seed over here, right? Now we have taken random data in the x-axis, and you can see y-axis is again a continuous number that we are taking up. So here, one interesting thing is that here we have create a data with the random numbers. Okay? Now, I think we already have imported, isn't it? It's not required. So let me do one thing. So what we can do here is, let's import over here, right? And what we can do is df is equals to pd.dataframe. So what we have done is we have tried to curate a data frame over here. And then we have defined that what is this data frame is doing. In the x-axis, we are doing a reshape. So this is how our df will looks like, where we will be having 100 rows and 2 columns, because you can see clearly how many number of random points we are trying to curate here. That is 100. That is the main reason you can see this kind of a thing. So we have only, you can say, single input feature, and y is the continuous number, which is the target value in our case. Now, if you will try to plot this x and y in your file as well, you will see this kind of a non-linear kind of a curve is coming up, right? This is the kind of a curve which we will be able to have with respect to the 100 data points that we have randomly generated. Now, what is the first task, if you remember, in the gradient boosting? What is the first task? So, in our first step, or you can say step 1, we have seen that we have a M1 model, which is nothing as such a machine learning model, but it's just a mean value of M1 is giving the predictions as the mean of the target values, if you remember. So that is what we have done. We have taken the dfy and we have taken the mean of that. And that is what we have tried to curate in a separate table or column, you can say, which is spread 1. And if you can see this prediction, this is how it looks like, right? In the next part, we will try to evaluate the residual, which is RES1. Residual is nothing but what is the target that we have and what is the prediction that we are trying to curate here. So if you will try to do the difference between this, and this is something which we call as pseudo residuals, which is nothing but is the difference, you can say, difference between the target and you can say the actual values. So this is what we will be able to get. So this is where we will be able to have an idea of what is RES1. Now, if you will try to plot the line which with the prediction that you're getting, obviously you're taking a mean value of y. So can you imagine? This is how basically the line will look like. So here, if you will be able to observe, this is the mean only, right, of the y-axis, via which our first model makes a prediction, which is, you can see, is a very bad. That is why we're calling it as a weak learner, because our data points forms like a parabola, and this line, predicted line, is a mean of the given values of y. So now what we have to do in this next iteration, we have to form a model M2, which is a decision tree regressor, in which the target value is the R1 value, residual RES1, right? I hope you all remember my part which I have explained. So we have tried to curate a decision tree where we are taking a max leaf node as 8. And here you can see one interesting thing. When we are fitting this tree, this is our input value and this is our target value. So one thing which you will observe here is that the target of the, you can say, the target of the decision tree, which is our model M2 in this case, is the RES1, is the residual one, right? That is the target that we will be having. So means, in other words, we can say target will always be the residuals of the previous predictor. And that is the core idea behind this gradient boosting algorithm. So we will try to plot it, and that is how basically I was getting the previous plots also, which I was trying to showcase you in the explanation part. So if you will take the same data set which we have taken in the last session, you will be able to see that this kind of a plot will come up in that scenario also, right? Now what we can do is we can again try to check the test set. We have randomly again generate that. Now what is the prediction? If you remember, prediction is nothing but what was the prediction given by model M1, which is 0.265458. How it comes? If you remember, it is the mean value, because you know model M1 will always give me the mean of the given data points of y that we have, right? So we will be able to get the result as 0.2648 plus the prediction given by the new model, which is M2, right? Here one thing is that I have not taken any learning rate for now, so I'm assuming it to be 1, but if you want, you can take it as 0.1 as well. In that case, you have to multiply the complete prediction part into 0.1. But for now, let's take it 1 itself. And here, if you will try to plot this graph again, the final prediction, which is a combination of model M1 plus model M2, you will be able to see how beautifully our graph will get changed. This best fit line will get changed. And this is far, far better than the previous one, because in the previous one, that was a middle line, which is not at all, I would say, is a best fit line, because the data points are inclined towards non-linear form. But this is somehow far better. Why? Because here you can see the kind of a curve which is forming up is actually pointing to all the data points that we have, right? Now, in order to make it more better, let's try to introduce the model M3 in our case. How can we introduce that? Obviously, in that case, again, we will try to curate a decision tree. But in this case, we will have to evaluate a residual 2, because residual 2 is a target of the decision tree of M3. I hope it makes sense, right? Now, things should be pretty much clear to everyone. So let's try to evaluate the prediction PRED2. We will be able to get that. And residual 2 is nothing but what is the actual value minus the predicted 2 value, right? So prediction 2 is, I think it is very, very easy to understand. So let's try to get that value of residual 2. And once we get that, we can introduce now another model M3 in which the RES2 is the target value that we will be able to cater here. So what we can do here is we can create a tree 2, we can fit that tree 2. And one thing to notice here is that in this tree 2, or you can say in model M3, in this model M3, you can see RES2, which is the residual of the previous model, is the target value for a given decision tree, right? So this is how basically we will be able to form up. Now here you can see what we are doing to evaluate the prediction, the previous M1 value plus the predictions given by tree 1 and tree 2, the addition of that. So we will run this, and once you will be able to get that, you can evaluate, and you can see that now your graph starts smoothing, right? You can see that it is again far, far better than the previous one, because it is more trying to get all the data points within that curve. So this is far, far better than the previous one, right? So this is the main idea. This is not required for now. And if you will be able to see, for now, as a conclusion, you can clearly see that here we have intentionally uses, or you can say used, three models, right? Model M1 was predicting the mean of the target value. Then we have model M2, in which target is the residual 1. And then we have model M3, in which the target is the residual 2. But you can increase this as much number as you want. So if you will go to the documentation of this gradient boosting algorithm documentation, if I'll just open that, you will see there is a parameter of number of estimators. So let me just open for the regressor part for now, because that is what we are focusing here. So here you can see that there is a parameter called as number of estimators. So by default it is 100. It means that the similar kind of a flow internally, when we're calling this by default gradient boosting regressor, will try to generate automatically M1, M2, M3 till M100, right? In that fashion itself. Obviously, while doing the recording, I cannot show you how you can reproduce for the 100 estimators. But now, just by getting the intuition of the top three, I'm expecting that you will be able to get an idea that how can we generate for the other 97 estimators as well. It's just that at every iteration, my target will keep on changing, and that is where our graph will keep on smoothing, right? Learning rate, you can see it is by default 0.1. And I have already talked about that this learning rate is basically helping us to overcome the, you can say, overfitting part. And by default, it is 0.1. But if you want, and if you will see that, what could be the optimal learning rate for my data set, you can just do a hyperparameter tuning. I hope you all know how can we do that, because we already discussed in a great detail. So you can do that and you can get an idea. One thing which you will be able to observe, that by default, the maximum depth in gradient boosting regressor is 3. So minimum 3 definitely nodes or levels you will be able to generate in a decision tree. Maximum it can be anything, but minimum you can see, maximum depth is 3 means maximum it will be 3 only. But again, you can try to change this number from 3 to 8 to 11 to 15, depending upon what kind of data points you want to curate, right? So here maximum is 3, meaning that, when you're trying to curate a decision tree, for example, in the last class, where I was writing a code and I was just showcasing you the internal intuition, I have tried to, represent that tree via 3 depth only. So this is the main core idea, that maximum depth it can go till 3 only, minimum it can go to 2 or 1 as well, right? So this is the overall idea. I would highly suggest to everyone that please try to, understand the documentation also pretty well. There are few things which you already have discussed with respect to the decision tree part, which is again repeating. So that is why I'm just not doing or repeating that points again. Whatever is the new core idea with respect to the algorithms, that is the only thing which I'm trying to represent here. Decision trees, maths, decision tree implementation, the core idea behind that will always remain the same. And if you have any sort of doubt in that aspect, you can just always refer my decision tree module to get the better understanding for the same. That is why, if you remember, when I was talking about a decision tree, I told you this is one of the most important algorithm, because you can see in the random forest, which is one of the very widely used bagging technique, and the boosting techniques like ADA boost, or you can say gradient boosting, and in the upcoming part we will talk about XG boost. Somehow this decision tree knowledge will plays a very important role. So with this, I hope that this part of implementation is also pretty much clear to everyone. So now I hope that you will be able to get a clear-cut idea about how the gradient boosting algorithm works. Here we have tried to solve a regression problem, but as I always say that these boosting algorithms is equivalent useful for the classification as well as regression problem as well. It's just that a change of the cost function, you can say. For example, here we have seen that here we are trying to solve a regression problem, and the target value that we have is the residual part. Let's try to understand that in classification problem, how the similar kind of a thing will happen. Although the logic will remain same, I would say the cost function or the loss function will get changed. So let's try to understand how will it get changed and what are the things that we have to take care of in the upcoming part of the video. So without wasting any time, let's try to see the other video of the today's module, where you will be able to understand the classification part as well.